Clock, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's meeting is being filmed live for CNET's YouTube channel. So, before we go to public comments, I just wanted to remind everybody, if you didn't know, and maybe you're too young to know, but today's the 24th anniversary of 9/11, when almost 3,000 Americans died. Just keep it in your heart to think about the people that were there, the first responders, the firemen, the policemen, the ambulance personnel, and just keep their memories alive. So next up, public comments. Does anybody have any comments to make about anything on or off the agenda? Hearing none.
Hey.
Oh, okay.
I thought there would be more.
You just thought you'd wait till somebody else came up.
Yeah, well, I didn't think mine was really that important to the business at hand, but I do have raffle tickets for a meat raffle that is being done on the 22nd of November, and the outdoor raffle, which is on the 20th of September. I have them available to purchase if anybody's interested.
And that's to benefit the Port Matilda Fire Company?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
There are 52 prizes in the outdoor raffle. Most of the prizes were funded by businesses in the area. So the money goes almost directly to the fire company when you buy a ticket, except for a few. The meat raffle is beef, pork, and chicken, and it'll be drawn, as I say, on November the 22nd.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none. You want to approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of August 14th, 2025?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Moved and second. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's approved. Next up, a consent agenda. Do I hear approval for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Any questions? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Done. Next up, where's Mark Franklin Volunteer Fire Company fiscal year 2026 budget presentation? If you'd like all three of you, or just we'll throw rocks at the treasurer or whatever.
I guess.
You can go first. Just drag up as many chairs as you need.
What sheet do you want to start with?
I just have the
That one?
financial statement. That's the only one I have besides what you guys have. So through 8/31, our total income for the year is $243,891.93. Total expenses have been $345,209.36, which is way out of whack, we know, but we redid all the floors in the fire hall this year, the kitchen, the bathroom, and put a new roof on. Just
Generator.
Oh yeah, and the generator. Our generator died, so we actually bought a used generator that will run the whole entire building. So those are the biggest expenses. Our fundraisers seem to go good. We made $23,000 on our fish fries this year, $26,000 on our gun raffle. We average between $300 and $3,500 on each wing night we have. And our gun bingo we had in January, we made $14,000 on. And an ice still continues to sell. We've sold over $9,000 worth of ice so far this year. Any questions?
Obviously, you have a shortfall
Well, yeah.
Do you have a reserve fund or how
We
you-
do have a reserve, and actually we were able to do all this without taking any money out of our reserve fund. Our reserve fund is the money market account and has $310,000 in it. And then we have 2 CDs that equal $67,000. And there's $55,000 in our general fund right now.
Does your fire company currently carry any debt?
Just for the 2017 engine rescue, and it is down to $35,000 is all we owe on it.
I take it you got a good interest rate.
Yeah, we switched it and locked it in before everything skyrocketed. So it will be paid off next summer at the latest, which is 7 years ahead of schedule.
Pardon my ignorance, but generally, how long is a loan on a fire truck?
15 years.
15 years. Do you folks have anything coming up you need to make us aware of? Anything we need to set in the budget? Concerns, comments, fears?
We're going to look at doing some hose testing here on some of the trucks. It's been neglected, never really been done, so we're anticipating a very large failure. Just overall, just expect the worst, hope for the best. But we've also reached out. We had a community member went to her place, and she's offered to write grants for us as a donation to us. So we're going to work with her to see what possible solutions there are out there for that. But it could be a very substantial expense. It's the same as our generator failure. We were able to find and utilize a used one that's on a trailer, picked it up in Lancaster for 10 grand, 100 kW, get us by. We'll try to eventually put in a grant, try to get a new one, and then we could sell that one since it's on a trailer. It'd be easy to unload, hopefully.
Yeah, but excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
Can you folks identify yourself for
Oh.
the people at home that are watching on TV?
I'm Brian Hockenberry. I'm the treasurer.
Jimmy Brokenshire, I'm the chief.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
sorry about that.
Do the other board members have any specific questions, concerns?
I believe we're under contract with Warriors Mark Fire Company. We have a contract, annual contract.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume that at some point, your ask is going to be, the amount that you're gonna need is going to be based on a contract somewhat. So beyond that, is there anything, we have budget meetings coming up in October, so is there anything you're gonna be presenting? Or is that's something you still have to think about for a discussion in October?
I don't think we'll have anything for discussion just yet.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking, like I said, going through the process. We're not gonna be able to get our hose tested until spring next year. Just met with the company today, so there is risk of failure. I mean, but it is what it is. It's the motto of the fire service is risk a lot, save a lot, risk a little, save a little. But we've been operating this way, so not gonna take anything out of service. We're still gonna, do our visual inspections and everything on the hose, but once it actually gets tested, there is a high probable chance that we're gonna have a lot to replace, and it could be very expensive, but we're trying to be proactive at this point. Like I said, looking at grants, see if we can just get grants for new hose. And if we can do that, then we know we get it tested, but, that's what we're gonna try to do versus trying to just buy $60,000, $70,000 in hose right away without being able to test it, but anticipating failure, so.
What percentage of your budget is from, I know you're supported by Warriors Mark Township, obviously us. Who else municipality-wise kicks in on that? And about what percent of your budget is that, do you know?
Franklin Township gives us 4,700, and Ferguson Township gives us 3,000. Well, and Franklin puts $4,700 into a truck fund as well. That whenever we buy a new truck, they'll
They
cut
give you
us a check.
4,700 plus 4,700 into a truck fund.
Yep. And Warriors Mark does 20,000 and 15,000 into a truck fund. And that, from total municipalities, that is roughly 22% of our annual budget.
And the rest comes from fundraisers? and
Fundraising, donations,
State Fire Commission.
yeah, State Fire Commission grant. That's
So-
helped a lot to pay off the truck loan.
So Warriors Mart gives you 20K plus 15K truck fund,
Mm-hmm.
and Franklin Township gives you
4,700
47
in
and then-
each.
In each. Okay.
And Spruce Creek doesn't donate anything?
Now,
Are they
They
part
are
of your?
Alexandria.
yeah, Alexander
Oh,
is their
okay.
first due.
In Huntington County, that's listed on here, they give the county themselves?
No, they did. That's what they did with their ARPA money. They split it up between all the fire companies last year.
Okay, so there's zero, no?
Yeah, they're zero now.
Okay.
Your fundraisers seem to be pretty successful. I'm
We have
not
a
sure
lot of
why,
community
but-
support.
Yeah, they
It's a lot
definitely
of
seem
effort.
to.
Well, that's obvious.
Brian puts a lot of effort in, and everybody else. I mean, it's a lot of time. I mean, we've looked at it though. I mean, but I'll be the first one to mention, like, sometimes we fall short in training and maintaining the trucks because we are putting a lot of time in fundraising, which is good, but we have to have that balance as well. So, but that says for, financially, but we need to always, keep in mind taking care of these trucks. We can't afford to buy a new one again, they're just too much. So have to think about the future and trying to maintain these trucks really well. But the fundraisers definitely help with all that, especially like unexpected expenses like the roof this year. We weren't anticipating that when we went to do a good project like the floor and the bathrooms. If we'd have known that, might have changed our direction, but you gotta have, that's what Brian's done an excellent job with.
What year was that fire hall built? I remember when it was built, but I don't remember.
1991,
1991.
and nothing was pretty much done to it until this year.
Well,
Yeah.
that's pretty good life on a metal roof.
34 years.
Yeah, we had all the circulator pumps go bad on the boiler. We had an HVAC. My brother-in-law actually donated all the pumps on it. It was about $7,000 worth of circulator motor. So we've been blessed with a lot of things too. So, but it's been a uphill year a little bit.
Are you guys 501c3?
Yeah.
A 501c3, yes.
Yeah, you are, okay. And I just don't have the numbers in front of me. Do you know the percent change on the income and expenses compared to last year? I can go back and look at them later, but I don't have them in front of me. I just didn't know if you had them in front of you, but that's okay.
I don't have percent. I mean, I have last year's total numbers for the year, if you want those.
Yeah, what was total income for?
Total income for 2024 was $320,373.29. And total expenses were $274,062.38.
Okay, thank you.
Wanted to ask you folks, I know, well, maybe you were in the fire company way back when Halfmoon Township got involved and started sending some money down your way. And I know the formula's changed over the years. Do you feel that we're covering our responsibility, or do you think we're deficient, or how do you, or don't you even think about it?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, sure, we'll always take more money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's less that, we have to do to make ends meet.
Right.
But, I mean, it's fair, if you compare it to the other townships.
Okay, we just didn't want to be out of character completely and not hold up our end. Because we do appreciate your coming up, handling the western end there. I'm not sure whether, and I know you and Port work together, so I'm not sure whether the actual dividing line is when the alarms go off, but
Davidson Road.
about Davison Road.
At least that's what the contract says.
Well, yeah,
So,
but I mean, if you had two trucks leaving the station at the same time, where it would end up. All right.
Do you guys feel that you're limited in either equipment that you need or, capital that you need based on, funding limitations from municipalities? Do you feel that there's, more that should be done? Is there things that you really do need, but it doesn't fit into the budget type of thing, but it limits your
I mean, I don't think there's anything that we need right now, but I mean, we do have to start thinking about replacement of trucks, and they're not cheap. Our 2017 that we bought new was 609,000. To buy that same truck today is 1.2.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's always the big thing. So, and our tanker's an '09, so it's 16 years old. So, I mean, that'll probably be
Right.
the first big thing to need replaced.
Are you
but-
seeing expenses increase for those two?
We have on the
Apparatuses?
tanker, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just starting nickel dime, it's not major anything. I mean, it's still very good shape, the truck overall, but electronics, just little things, just from it sitting. You gotta buy new tires every few years to keep it up, you know, DOT compliance, but they're not wore down, it's just age-wise.
Right. Right.
But, you know, following NFPA standards and things like that, it's, you know, yeah, we're not in compliance with a lot of things because it's very high standards to meet that, which
Yeah.
is the safety protocols we're supposed to follow.
Right.
But in all reality, it is a pile of money to try to keep up with it. So it's a challenge and it's a risk that falls back, and that's like on the chief and stuff, it's back on my neck.
Right.
So, I
Right.
mean, it's, what do you know, it's small towns, it's stuff, you gotta make it work, so it's a challenge.
Yep.
And that's a risk level everybody has to figure out, you know, it really is, it's tough.
Can you give us a rundown of the engines and the tankers that you have or equipment that you have? I mean, you don't need to get into, we own 2 pairs of jaws of life or anything like that, but just
Yeah.
like the engines in general.
Yeah, so we have our new engine rescue. It's our primary response unit. It's a 2017. We have the tanker. It's a 2,000-gallon tanker. We have a 2009 or 8.
Nine
that's
is a brush.
Brush truck. It's an F450. Then we have a 2004 or 11. That's 14 F250 utility vehicle, and it pulls our Kubota. It has a little brush pack on the back of it, skid unit, and then we have our fire police traffic control unit as well. It's a 98 or 99 GMC Suburban or Yukon. So.
And the 87.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the old girl, the 87. I almost forgot about her. She's good old reliable 87 rescuer engine. We use it pretty much for our water supply areas. It's a nice, good old mechanical truck, but sadly, they're not worth putting the money into. The value of it, you know, it's sitting there, it's a nice truck, but you can find them on Facebook for about $5-6 grand. But to replace it with a new truck or something, you're gonna have a pile in it. So it's our backup.
Okay. Did you guys have, I guess you got your, the
Green Bin
silo?
Rescue. Yeah, thank you very much for that.
Well, you're very welcome. Hopefully you haven't had to use it.
Nope. Hopefully
But
we
you
never
got
have to. We just have it just in
Okay,
case.
so that's good. Anybody else have any questions? All right, well, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If anything comes to mind you feel we need to know about, get in contact with Amy and she'll disseminate the information.
Yep.
Next up, Fort Total Fire Company 2026 budget presentation. And for the public, if you could just give your name and the position you carry in the fire company.
John Witherite, Fire Chief. Josh Witherite, President. Whichever you want to go over first is fine.
Are you gonna review the presentation, or do you just want to go to the budget page in the presentation?
I guess I'll go over the presentation quick.
Okay.
So, as you all know, we have not had a set formula that is agreed upon 100% by every municipality of the COG. It's been an ongoing issue due to the fact that there's very many different formulas out there. Recently, a couple of the COG members invited us over to Half Moon to have the relationship building training, where we went with PSATs. And during that meeting, we took the formula that Jerry Oslog, I believe is his name, gave us in the training. And we took that formula, we went to the Center County 911 Center, we got all the information that we needed, and we put together that formula, which is in this presentation. So the first couple slides are Jerry Oslog's pretty much information of how the formula works. It's based off of population, assessed value, call volume. What made this a little difficult is, can you go back to the last page, Amy? What made it a little difficult is Half Moon and Taylor. So we don't cover 100% of each of your townships. So we had to go and we had to work with Center County to delete the parcels that are not in our firebox jurisdiction. It did take a little time, but we were able to get them as close as possible. You will see in the pink or reddish color is Halfmoon Township of what Port Matilda covers. You can go to the next page. So we initially did this, we followed the formula verbatim, which was everything that's taxable. We presented it at the COG meeting, and some of the input we got was, can we remove the non-taxable properties? So essentially, a good example would be Port Matilda Borough. The school that's in Port Matilda Borough, the borough doesn't get tax money from the school property. So they wanted to remove that out of the properties that were in the formula. So we went and removed everything that was non-taxable out of the formula. Those are your updated numbers. You can go to the next page. So total assessed value covered by Port Matilda. You can see that Half Moon, we cover 92% of your assessed value. Taylor 62, Worth is 100%, Port Matilda is 100%, and Houston is also 100%. Then we went into fire rescue responses. And the next few slides are just pictures of our call volumes broken down by the townships for your information if you wanted to review yourself. The 5-year rescue response average for Halfmoon Township is 34 calls a year. And we took the 5-year average for the formula because we decided that 1 year wasn't really fair because you do have fluctuations. So we figured 5 years was a fair distance out. Next couple slides are just population through each township. And then the population from the county, you can see from Sean where Half Moon lies. So population that we serve in your township is 2,541 people based off of the census that was recently performed, which in return is 95% of the population in your township. So the PSATS funding formula, again, you'll see assessed value, fire rescue responses, population, and then the suggested percentage of the budget that each township would be responsible for. There's your updated non-taxable. So on this page, you'll see the top section is this past year's budget. We had received $150,000 from the municipalities, and those are the numbers and the contributions that we received. The lower section of that formula page is the PSATS formula for this upcoming year at the 153 amount. So if we were not to increase our budget, that's where your township would be. However, we're looking at an increase in our budget. Now I'll go over that in a little bit. So we are proposing a $191,487.22 budget. With that, the updated formula, what we are requesting from Halfmoon Township is an additional $1,358.70 on what you already pay.
John, what was that total? Again,
The $1,358.70.
the total budget, your total budget.
Total budget's $191,487.22. And I do have a copy here for you guys as well that I'll give to Amy, and then I also emailed, I don't know if you got it or not, 4 documents with the updated budget
Today.
last week.
Well, this is budget submittal,
So-
budget request submittal day.
Okay.
So there's
Perfect.
obviously gonna be more information coming in,
Yeah.
so.
So based on the formula, you guys are very close to what is requested based off of PStats. So you can go to the next page. Since we do not have a formula that is 100% ironed out, I threw this slide in there. There has been talk of removing vehicle accidents out of the formula. So that line item for calls, some of the other townships requested that vehicle accidents be removed from calls because of I-99. So you'll see the original PSATs formula. You guys would be $1,300 short. If we remove the vehicle accidents, that actually changes your contribution. You will be $3,200 and some change short. So that does negatively impact Halfmoon Township if we were to remove the vehicle accidents out of the PSATs
The
formula.
vehicle accidents are something you actually
We
respond to.
do respond to them, yes. Yep. So, and you can see the other townships there on that page, how that affects them, removing the vehicle accidents. So, it will actually save Houston Township, Taylor Township, and Worth Township money by removing those. So, again, I'm not going to be the guy going over the formula. I'm going to let that up to the COG and the members of the COG to figure the formula out.
And, John, so is this all MVAs removed, or is this just 99 MVAs
That is
removed?
all MVAs removed.
So, across all municipalities?
Yes.
Because all right.
I think that with the exception of what we consider major MVAs, which would be entrapment, those type of calls, and I think maybe 5 calls a year might be included in that.
The preponderance of motor vehicle accidents are on I-99 by far,
Mostly.
or in that area.
In that area, yes.
Okay. And 99 goes through Houston and Worth
And
and
Taylor.
Taylor.
Yes.
All three, right?
All
Port
three.
Matilda Borough, I think it might,
No.
No.
doesn't
No,
touch it at all?
I
The
don't
borough
think
ends
so.
right before the
Okay,
interstate.
I knew it was
So
close.
it's
It's
just
close.
those 3, okay.
Yep.
Okay,
I think the
thank you.
borough ends right after the bus garage there.
Yeah, and so like the mean average of calls and stuff for Halfmoon, it's like 28, I think, for vehicle accidents over a 5-year span. So you can see
Are these
like,
the calls?
those are the calls, yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
those are the numbers for each township per year and that have been removed?
Correct.
Right, right.
Yep.
So
you.
the other townships are asking that you remove motor vehicle accidents from your budget formula.
Correct.
And Port Matilda's asking that you remove non-taxable properties from your budget formula.
So there was a couple municipalities for the non-taxable.
Okay,
But
I mean, these are still buildings with people in them that you.
Correct.
If there's a
They're-
fire, you're gonna be
we're still going to
responding.
respond to it, yes.
Right.
They're, if the school's on fire, it's going to cost us
Mhm.
money to go there.
Right, and the same thing with game lands. Game lands are not
Correct.
taxable, but you could have a call there, so.
Correct. Yep.
Well,
You're
Okay.
Has anybody spoken to the school about making an additional donation to help out the fire? Well, I can ask the ambulance company, but.
Not really. A couple years ago, we actually got together with several other fire companies that service Bald Eagle area, and we approached them to try to get some stipend material, maybe do away with some taxes or some kickbacks for volunteers, and they weren't interested at that time. So I'm assuming this is going to be the same type of deal.
No help at all, huh?
So
if you take out all the motor vehicle accidents, I see Port Matilda Borough goes up. Is that difference there? Is that 1,400? I'm at a bad angle here.
yeah, so the borough, if you remove motor vehicle accidents, theirs goes up $1,400, almost $1,500.
But does it come down when you remove non-taxable properties?
I believe it does.
It can't be much.
It's not a whole lot.
But
It's like a couple $100 versus
I was gonna say,
couple thousand.
there's only one school property in the
Yeah.
borough, and I think there might be, I don't know, is there any churches left over there or not?
There's a couple.
Couple.
Yep. Yeah, the negative impact would definitely hits the borough and Half Moon the hardest by removing vehicle accidents.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like
Well, on a percentage of the budget, it actually hurts the borough worse.
Yeah.
well, when you talk of real dollars, I mean, it looks like the PSATS formula sort of kind of went out the window to some extent.
To some extent, I can agree with that.
Yeah, because you started at a certain place based on the information, which included what, four weighting factors?
Three for sure.
Three for sure.
Yep.
And then apparently, I don't think somebody liked those numbers. So they said, well, anyway, let's take this out and that out. Let's get these numbers back to where they were before, and then let's, instead of Half Moon paying less, let's have them paying the same or more, because that gets us closer to what we were paying, because we're not going to increase our budgets to pay for an additional amount, which objectively speaking is wrong, because whatever the numbers come out to be, you guys run the fire company. You have a budget. Whatever that number comes out to be, there's one fair way of weighting budgets, weighting value, and trying to determine what you charge.
Yep.
There's only one real way to do that. You either have weighting factors or you don't. You can't start playing with them.
Yep.
So let's take this up, because you guys respond to every fire. You guys respond to every accident, regardless of where it happens, regardless if it's on the highway or at a school or where it is.
That's right.
Right? I'm just trying to understand where we
Yep.
are here.
You're 100% correct.
Okay.
As you know, in years past, I was hardcore set on funding should be done by millage. And I was in here and did a presentation on millage. And my personal take on millage was that's how they do school taxes. That's how they do other taxes. And upon having our PSATS meeting, I learned that, there's a formula out there that actually weighs not only millage, but it weighs in other factors, the call volume and everything. So I changed my perspective, and I personally believe that the PSATS formula is a fair funding formula.
Well, I would say with regard to millage, we did have contracts for each of our emergency services based on millage.
Yep.
And I believe one of them was signed. The other two were never agreed to. So as far as assigning funding or allocation by millage, we've already done that.
Yeah.
We've already offered that. So
Yep.
just want to make that comment.
I think it's important that, do you feel that the gentleman from PSATS was fair and neutral, and have you talked to him outside of the meeting at all, or?
So I did reach out to him outside of the meeting. I had never spoken to him before the meeting. My conversations with him were, I reached out, I sent him our budget, and I wanted, from an outside standpoint, I wanted to know where we stood. If we were asking for too much or if we were reasonable. He had no ties to us. He had no ties to the municipality. His response was, very assuring that we're not asking for anything out of the ordinary. So I feel confident in our numbers. But I definitely do like the formula. I think it's fair. It doesn't take advantage of one municipality over the other.
Right. It's objective.
Yeah, I do feel that maybe other municipalities don't like it due to maybe the increase of costs or whatever it may be, but I would hope that Halfmoon Township would maybe take the lead on this formula and push it and try to get something ironed out with all the other municipalities. So
I'm just asking questions because I've not spoke to the gentleman from PSATs out of the meeting that we had, but he seemed to know what he's talking about. I thought what he had proposed was probably about as fair as you could get.
Yep.
You know, anything, I don't like to pick and choose. You know, and I suppose if, you know, whether Halfmoon Township pays an extra $3,000 or $1,000 or whatever, in the big scheme of things, it's probably not going to make that much difference in the world one way or the other. But I think, you know, because we're all involved in the minutia here, fire company, you know, you've got things, Halfmoon's got things, Houston, Worth, Taylor, Fort Matilda Borough. It might be better if we had him, if we could all agree to just let the professional pick it, and then we just live with whatever they come up with.
Yep.
To be fair to everybody, and that way we're not slanting things one way or another. You know, his formula seemed to be pretty universal around the state, what he was talking about.
Yep. I
That's what
agree.
they do.
And
Yeah.
I did send him a copy of my PowerPoint that you guys are viewing tonight, and I had him check my numbers just to make sure that I was not messing something up. He did say everything looked good as far as that goes. Maybe it's worth someone reaching out to him on the municipal side and just, you know, following up and getting his input on this. But I am not going to pursue trying to figure out a formula.
I know you don't
for
want to get in the middle of it,
municipalities, so
for obvious reasons.
I just knew that you guys couldn't get the data needed to do the formula as quick as what I could. So I took the initiative to go get that information and give it to you guys.
Okay.
And I've got go ahead with your thing. And I've
Yeah, we
some
got a couple
questions
more
before
slides
you're
here.
done.
So if you recall from the PSATs meeting we had, there was the legs on a table that like there was 4 legs. We actually combined 2 of the legs here into the fundraising, because we actually do fundraising and the mail drive where we ask for funding. They both go through the fundraising account, so they're in that one pie under fundraising. You can see that 58% of our budget last year was municipal funds. Fire relief contributed about 29%. Looks like fundraising, oh, I got them mixed up. So fundraising did 29% at $74,000, almost $75,000. Fire relief did 8%, and grants was 5%.
John, I got a question.
Yep.
How much money does the Fire Relief Association receive as pass-throughs from the state through the municipalities to you guys?
Yep.
Yeah,
I believe it's around 32-ish, around 30 to
32
32,000
total
Yeah,
for all 5
I
municipalities?
believe so. And they're actually spending around 20,000 a year.
Have they considered, or has anybody considered having them spend the 32,000 that they're receiving now that they have retained earnings? I know they got to be in excess of $250,000. They got to be over 300,000 at this point.
I am not sure what they have
I
in
don't
there.
think
I
They
will
are.
throw
They
in
were
an
2
input.
years
If
ago.
it's been in my reports for Upper Wall Legal Cog that, it's been in my reports that the fire company they went to the Fireman's Relief once and they're going back because there was some audit fixes that had to be done before any money's released. So there is a request into them, or if you haven't been there, you're going back to them
Yeah, we're going
for
back.
roughly close to $73,000
Yeah.
for equipment.
Yep.
Because they've been saving all this money all these years
Yeah.
for a rainy day when you need
Correct.
significant money for capital expenditures
Yep.
and things like
and,
that.
and we're actually coming due. Our hydraulic tools are about at the end of life. So we're going to them to replace our
You can't
hydraulic
buy
tools.
trucks with a fireman's relief money, can you? Or
You can.
You can.
Mhm.
Yep. So we have been, and I will give kudos to Fire Relief. They have been saving money very well. If they weren't as strict as what they have been, then a couple years ago when we needed air packs, it might have been a different story. Since they had that rainy day fund, it was helpful. They are saving for the next round of air packs here in about 9 years. We are going after them, like Tammy said, for the update on the Jaws of Life and the hydraulic tools of around $70,000. So they have been helping out with bigger ticket expenses here in the last couple years. So
But the sounds of it, they were waiting on the audit to be completely resolved, which I got that resolved. And now by the sounds of it, they're gonna entertain it and probably
So
get us.
Their deficiencies in the Auditor General's report have been resolved,
They're resolved, everything is good to go.
but that was through your efforts.
That was through my efforts, yes.
Okay.
I think there's one or two more slides.
Figured I'd take the leap and help them out.
We appreciate that.
Do you want me to go past this?
Yeah, they're just that's just Fire Relief of what they're, so 34,000 Ron is what they received there, and that's just what we received in grants. That was just verification of the funds that we get that match to the budget.
Is the Fire Relief allowed to give you a set amount of money every year, regardless of what your stated needs are? Give you a certain amount, like if they get 34, they give you 34, you put that in your capital reserve. Are they allowed to do that?
So they have something in their bylaws, and I don't remember the percentage, but they're only allowed to spend a certain percentage of what they receive on the income, unless it's an emergency, like expense.
Okay, but that's their bylaws,
That's their bylaws.
which
Yes.
is written by the Firemen's Relief Association.
Correct.
It all comes back to them, basically.
So, do you want to pop up do you have the budget there, Amy? I just want to touch on the timeline we've had in the last couple years, because our budget has bounced around a little bit, and I want to explain why it's bounced around a little bit. In 2024, we were trying to figure out what it truly cost to properly fund and save for the fire department. So what we did,
25 was it?
it's 2025. Okay, I'll just go over here and then I'll give you a copy.
John, will you be presenting one of these again this year?
I will be at COG, and I can come back and do this again if you need me
Well,
to.
for our budget,
Yeah.
actual budget.
Yep, I have a copy, a hard copy here, and you'll get a digital copy as well. So in 2024 is when we really started this budget, is when we worked with Brett initially, and we added capital savings for our building. Our building was getting old. We wanted to make sure we had money in the bank or saved for the roof, the flooring, maybe building replacement, which in return drove up our overall budget request. We had added additional money to the engines and also fire operation supplies. Ultimately, that budget was not perceived very well because of the high dollar amount. So we had made some adjustments for the 2025 budget. We removed the building capital savings. We also removed our unencumbered funds, and we also removed $10,000 from our vehicle maintenance, equipment repairs, and fire operation supplies to get that number down. And we also had met with Steve, who was a retired chief at State College, and he helped us get down to about $30 per capita, and the state average for rural fire is about $40 per capita. So where we ended up in 2025 was municipal contributions we were requesting was $153,077.80, and we had made some adjustments between last year and this year, and what we had added back into this was about $38,000 in capital expenditures. So we are still trying to get the shortfall that we have in capital. And what we added for 26, just so you guys are aware, is we came up with this capital budget plan. And I think you guys have a copy somewhere. There is a apparatus equipment and a PPE equipment. We went out 25 years. So essentially when this hits that 25-year mark, you can start this all over again with the same equipment. The only thing that's going to change is the price increase or decrease per the equipment. The fire service is very simple. You have to replace or should replace hose every so many years, apparatus every so many years. So we took those shelf life of that equipment and put it into a 25-year plan. We tried to keep the amount every year as close as humanly possible to the previous year. That wasn't an easy task, but in 2026, we are, hold on. So in 2026, for the apparatus, we actually have 5-inch hose for both the engine rescue and the engine tanker for replacement. We have nozzles for the engine tanker are the main items for apparatus. When we get into the PPE side of things for capital, we have every year we're looking to save for 3 sets of turnout gear. We're looking to equip a couple 3 sets of fire police gear. We're looking to save for 2 air packs a year for the SCBA. We're looking at doing 3 pagers a year. We're looking at 3 sets of forestry gear a year, and we're also looking at saving for 1 or 2 fire extinguishers a year.
You talk about actual expenditure or savings for that purpose.
Actual expenditures, okay, except for the SCBA. That would be a savings to kind of build that money up, and then also use fire relief when we get to that point as well. Our issue that we're currently having here is we're gaining about 1 new firefighter a month for the last couple months, which is a very good thing because you can never have too many volunteers. The downfall is I have not ordered any turnout gear since 2021, I believe. And the reason I haven't ordered it is because it's not in the budget. It was removed somewhere around 2019 or 2020. I have added it back in, and I've presented it for the last couple years, but it's never been approved. So we are to the point we have 2 new members looking to join, and I don't have turnout gear to fit them 100%. They are looking at going directly into fire school to take their essentials, and I don't think I have boots for them. I don't think I have stuff that's going to fit them. So we're going to have to kind of steal gear from myself or other active members to let them go to class, and then that takes myself or the other active members out of being able to respond to calls.
What's it cost to outfit a fireman for that?
So I got recent pricing, and we switched suppliers We used to be all Globe. The quote that I had from March of 2022 was $5,100 to equip pants and coat. The new gear that we're looking at going with is $4,562.40. So you can see why we are looking at a different supplier.
That's not the whole,
That's just a coat and
yeah, that's
pants.
not the whole gear
And-
that an individual fireman uses, right?
Yep, and a set of boots currently that we are pretty well out of. They're around $610 for a set of boots.
So it's for like $7,000 to fully equip a
Probably.
firefighter.
You're probably right around there.
Okay, that's the number that we need. And you know, I don't look at this stuff as capital. I look at it as an operational requirement. It's part of operations. You have people come, you have people go. If someone goes and you can reuse that with someone else, that's fine, but we're not all the same size either.
Yeah.
So, you know, I kind of like to be able to see a capital plan for capital items and a definition of capital. Meaning
I
something
think-
that has a long-term value of so many years, as opposed to things that you're going to use that you need, and things that wear out.
Yeah.
I mean, they have
Hoses wear out.
they have dates of expiration. You have so many years before you have to replace something. Those kinds of things that's almost like supplies. That's almost like something you use to operate.
Yeah. Yeah, and depending on what formula or what your specs are on capital might change what we have assigned as capital. I think what we had assigned as capital was anything over $500 and lasts longer than 3 years is what we went off of to assign.
How many
revenues.
members do you have right now that are actually active firemen?
I believe it's going to be around 14.
If you get these two new guys in.
It should be around 16 then.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're the guys that respond to the calls.
Yeah.
The other problem we're running into is, I've never seen it before, is our gear lockers are completely full. So we have 2 people in 1 gear locker. It's crazy. It's a good crazy. It's a good thing.
As long as you can outfit them with equipment,
Yeah.
or get some more lockers.
Yep.
I take it they're special gear lockers specifically for fire equipment,
Yeah.
fire outfits.
Yeah, ours are, believe it or not, so they are gear lockers for the fire service, but they're like a food grade, like, they look like a food grade from US Foods locker. So they're not a very stable, like, they're very rickety. They're more economically friendly cost-wise to get
I
them.
figured they'd have dehumidifiers in them and.
No, these
Nothing
ones,
like
these ones are the
that.
cheap ones.
I mean, I guess you have to dry your equipment out when you get back, I suppose.
Yeah. Yep. We just take everything apart and hang it or put it in the washer or dryer to clean it.
It's definitely been informative. I knew the gear was expensive. I had no idea. It was that
It's
much.
ridiculous. It's like, they were saying earlier how an engine doubled in cost, and I mean, $600 for a pair of boots is expensive.
You have any more for your presentation?
I do not.
Anybody on the board like to throw any questions? I have a few questions, but anybody else would like to ask first? Go ahead.
I don't have any questions, because I've, heard this a number of times with COG and stuff, but I will say, for our board, at some point, I would like to get feedback on his presentation so that I can take that to our COG discussions. I did request that the funding formula be on our agenda for COG until we get it resolved. It did get added last month, so I'll ensure that it's on the agenda for this month. We were not the township that initiated the training for PSATs. So I want to make sure that there's follow through so that we actually get something good and useful out of the information that was presented at PSAT. So we can talk about that later in terms of.
I thought the guy was great.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so-
I think feedback on John's proposal would be great so that I can collectively take that back and speak for the board.
Just basically what I was going to ask, or what I asked, where's Mark? Just kind of try to get an idea of how many engines you have. Do you have any big projects coming up, any big purchases? looking for, I know you can't buy anything unless people release some money to you, or whatever, but,
Yep.
you know,
So
you say, hey, by, you know, in 2027, we need a new pumper truck or, you know, whatever. So just trying to get a feel for where you're going and anything you might be on the horizon that we need to be aware of.
Updating the rescue with the LED.
yeah, so currently we have on the what everyone considers the fire truck side, the big red trucks you see going down the road. We have an engine rescue, which is an 09. And then we also have the engine tanker, which is the big yellow truck you guys see running around. That is 02. And then we also have what we consider support pieces. We have our brush truck, which is a 2020. And then we have a 2019 traffic unit. And our utility that we had is currently out of service. At this time, we're actually looking at replacing it in the next year or so. That is an expense that fundraising is looking at paying for.
What is that, John?
Our utility vehicle. It's currently a Chevy Tahoe. We're actually looking at upgrading that to a pickup truck, something we can throw hose in the bed and use more of like a utility vehicle. Again, though, that's not going to be, at this time that I'm aware of, a request of the municipalities. The department has decided loosely that all the smaller vehicles will get replaced like by fundraising. So we're contributing to the overall health of the department. My biggest concern for municipal side is just getting capital stuff built back into the budget, like getting this gear that we are able to get gear every year, getting the apparatus stuff like the hose and stuff like that replaced. So with this year, prime example, we have hose in the budget, the 5-inch. We had hose testing done recently, and we actually had several sections of 5-inch hose fail. So we no longer have a couple hundred feet of that 5-inch. So if we don't have it in the budget to replace it, we're just going to keep losing, you know, feet off of the hose bed.
But the brush truck has been paid by the fundraising, right?
No, brush truck's all paid by fundraising.
Well, other than 15,000.
Oh, okay, so you're down payment. I would say, like Dave, the best thing, and I'll give you this as well, would just be to go over our long-term apparatus list of like what we're having in the upcoming years. So in 2027, for example, so 27 we're looking at doing more fire hose, 3-inch and 1 3/4. That's different size hose. And we're also looking at the tires are going to be due on the engine tanker and airbags for the engine rescue. So, and then
I guess my concern in that regard is, you know, if the township knows that these big things are coming, and of course we go through the cog, but as a group of municipalities, if we know that you guys are going to get hit by something, I mean, obviously, if you have no nozzles for the hose, it's not much of a fire company. So we've got to make sure that you have pertinent gear, or that it's budgeted, or there's a plan to pay for something, you know, so we don't get blindsided. I mean, obviously, we understand sometimes bad things happen, but,
yep.
you know, we just don't want to get hit by something and then say, well, we should have seen this coming because it was 2 years off and nobody thought about it.
Yep. So unless anything changes, and my biggest thing is transparency. So unless a major expense like comes out of the blue, like the engine tanker where the engine blew up, unless something like that comes up, we plan to stick to this capital plan.
You have it all laid out.
It's all laid out. So unless something major just, you know, blows up or majorly fails, this is going to be our plan for the next couple years. At some point, though, in this plan we had stuff for 25 and 24 that didn't get replaced. Right. So we're going to have to filter
two trucks,
that
one's
in.
an 09, one's an 02. Of course, you know, they're getting up there. When's your expected replacement date for that, or don't you have one?
We don't have one at this time. Our thought process at this point is once the engine rescue is paid off, because we're used to that payment, our talk is maybe we take that payment and we put it towards maybe replacing the engine tanker at that time, being that it's an O2. If not, then maybe we save up that loan payment for a couple years and we use it for a down payment then for the engine tanker. Because there's no way to properly save every year at the cost of this stuff to have that money sitting there when it's time to pay for it.
Well, you can never predict the cost of anything. You just have to, I look at a budget as having a line item for capital reserve and capital in my mind is a lot different than what you were talking about. But you have that line item every year and you fund it every year. And that fund builds up so that you can buy the capital items that you need, the big ones.
Yep.
Okay, and so I would like to see that worked into a budget. I mean, we've had a great discussion, but I still want to see a budget.
Yep. Yeah, and when you get it, it's in here, Ron. There's actually a line item for transfer to capital where you'll see exactly what we have. The issue we have now, and we caught it in the last COG meeting, is the line items that we have that the bookkeeper was putting stuff under. The line items didn't match the line items in the budget, so we have to fix those line items so that they match.
Josh, I know you've been working on the 501c3 designation.
Yes.
You weren't there last month, so I didn't ask the question. Where are we at? Like, how is that progressing? I know there were some issues because I think there was multiple names out there under the business.
The fire company had 3 or 4 different names for the state. So our attorney was working on getting that fixed. Our bylaws were amended to be 501c3. And then I just got to get with Sheena. I've been so busy with, we got to get the titles of the trucks that we own, the trucks, then the deed, and then we're good to go. Be able to get that finished.
So
Are
we're
you
close.
currently a 501c3, or are you working on it?
We were,
You were.
and then years past it was switched to a 501c4, and we're trying to go back to a C3.
Okay.
I'm getting a little gray
I
area
think
on
you
with
could
it.
drop under either category, I guess. but-
Yeah.
We can get more grants under our 501c3.
Yeah.
Correct.
Why would it ever be C4?
I don't know. So I guess our attorney said that a few years ago, the state ended up changing a bunch of companies to a 501c4.
Yeah, I remember, and I think you guys fell into that window
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
It'll be important moving forward
Yeah.
for grants, so.
Yep.
And I will put it out there that if there is anybody who's looking to do some volunteer work for the fire company, helping with grants, we're gonna need somebody in the future,
Yep.
near future, hopefully.
Yep. And we still have not heard anything back on the the federal grant that we applied for gear. Since the government is, I guess, behind is what I was told. If we don't receive something by the end of this month, then we probably didn't get the grant. So,
Somebody didn't show up with a giant check at your door.
no, we didn't get an
With a
email
camera.
or anything. We're hoping. Maybe it comes the last day as a surprise, but
There's still time, there's
Yep.
still time. Okay.
Do you have any questions you want to ask of us before you?
I do not. Other than I hope that you guys would consider taking charge on the PSATS formula and getting a funding formula for us. It's got to start with one township leading the way. So
I will commend you on the work that you put forth, the information that we gained from the workshop, and then actually putting work in time and effort onto paper. I commend you for that, so thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Next up will be the Port Matilda EMS 2026 budget. I know everybody knows who you are, but for the TV audience.
All right. I'm Steve Kibe. I'm the president of the Port Matilda EMS Board of Directors.
Cliff Neal, I'm a Halfmoon Township resident and the vice president of the Port Matilda EMS Board of Directors. I guess the first thing, if you could put up, is the assumptions and notes page. And I'd like to take just a minute and go through some of our recent history to explain where we're coming from and why we're in this situation, why we're asking for this budget this year. If you look at Port Matilda EMS from 2023, we are on the verge of closing our doors as a service in the area. We had a building that was outdated and severely in need of renovations. We had 2 ambulances that were also significantly outdated and needing replacement immediately. And we had a wheelchair van that was nearly uninspectable. In the interim between almost closing and this date, through the incredible efforts of Susan Person, who's a grant writer for us, and our EMS captain, Jack Bonsall, we have, through mostly grant support, we purchased 2 ambulances, a new wheelchair van, updated our building. We have a new mini-split heating system that was installed, bedrooms that were installed through the work of both grants and some volunteers that were recruited that offered the services, and a new generator that was installed, again, through grants. From a material standpoint, we have done enormous improvements, and it has not been at any cost to the municipalities. It's been at the very most minimal cost through all the equipment I just listed, was typically gained through grants. So from a material standpoint, we are solid. The problem with EMS in the country, and Port Matilda EMS is no exception, is the poor insurance reimbursement to provide 24-hour 2 EMT minimal coverage to have people sitting in the station. And unfortunately, with healthcare, minutes can make an enormous difference. So you kind of have to have 2 EMTs by state requirement to run a 911 call with an ambulance, and they have to be there to immediately respond. The idea of an on-call system responding from home probably would cost a lot of lives in the long run. Unfortunately, operational expenses, including staffing, is not covered through any grants that we can find. It's totally, in our situation, dependent on municipal funding and memberships that are sent in, and if people make voluntary contributions to the service. Insurance-wise, every time an ambulance rolls out of a bay for EMS, you basically lose money, unfortunately. In our area, we have a large population of people that are insured through Medicare and Medicaid, and we lose a significant amount on every one of those patient encounters. For the numbers, in 2024, we had 549 calls. That's actually up about 39 calls from the year before. And the projected right now, we currently are at 401 calls for the year, but if you project it out, we're probably going to end up around 580 calls for this year. So each year, our call volume is increasing, and the reimbursement from Medicare and Medicaid, Medicare covers approximately 60% of the cost of running a call they're billed for, and Medicare, we have to make an adjustment, losing money. 60% of Medicare calls, 77% of Medicaid calls, so we're getting around 40% of the revenues that we actually are supposed to be getting, as opposed to what insurance is covering. Private insurance agencies cover slightly higher, but the majority of the patients that we take in this area are not privately insured. So the problem that we have is trying to come up with a way to cover the costs of staffing. We currently have 13 paid staff, that's part-time paid people. We have 3 volunteers on the 911 side. For our wheelchair van, we have 1 person who's an on-call person. I think he's 4 days a week, and we cover the rest with volunteers, which is 3 to 4 that we have available to help cover the wheelchair van, which is non-emergent calls. And unfortunately, each year as you lose money, it is just very, very difficult to make ends meet for the cost of staffing these ambulances. And that's where we're at this year. We've looked at the last, now 2 years. We lost some last year. We're losing a bit more this year. And our membership is still, we're receiving about 20 to 21% of the memberships that are sent out. So the numbers are low. Our insurance reimbursement is actually getting worse and worse each year to cover the cost of staffing. So here we are, looking at another year trying to get municipal funding and improvement in memberships. And I think I'll stop there.
Okay, so what's taking place from there is the fact that we are utilizing so here in October, our memberships are going to go out. We're utilizing that money that should be just earmarked for 2026, and then that will be utilized to get us through the rest of 2025. And we're seeing that time come closer each year because we're kicking the can down the road, but it only goes so far each time we kick it. And some of those payouts that Cliff just mentioned, if you look at Medicaid, we're only getting 23% of the Medicaid that it costs for that ambulance to go out. So one of the things that we did with this year's budget is the fact that we wanted to, in essence, create some shock value, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, and for us to be fully funded for 2026, if you look at the page for the operating budget draft, you can see there with the column with the 2 asterisks, and that shows that what we would need to basically break even with $183 left at the end of the year projected in the budget would be a total expenses of $462,000, but we would be getting an increase from the municipalities of 103%, which isn't realistic for any of you. So what we're looking at everywhere that we can get more funding. One of the areas that we're looking at are hospital transfers, emergency transfers, because it's almost guaranteed funding. And we can, send an ambulance out. They can pick them up from one hospital, take them to another hospital. One of the issues with that is it's probably our paid crew. However, we have a plan where we're trying to look at where we can have someone who's on call. We pay them a small amount to be on call, and if the on-duty crew goes out on a transfer, that person's on call, ready to go, and the captain will fill in, and then they can go out on any kind of 911 calls that we have in our coverage areas. What we are looking at for the municipalities for this year is a 20% increase, and what that means for Half Moon would be a $55,000 budget line item for our agreement for this year. Now, to back up for a moment, we were the emergency service, Ron, that you mentioned, that did sign a contract with Halfmoon Township last year, and we do go on millage. We'll wait and see how everything works out for the fire company with the new budget ideas, and maybe we'll incorporate that for next year. So that's where we're at. A 20% increase seems like a lot, but you can kind of take a look across and see the difference between last year versus this year. Question?
I'm just trying to digest it all.
Okay.
I happened to sit in on your last, well, maybe your last meeting, I don't know, I assume it was. And you definitely had some serious concerns and things to be considered. As far as the budget formula goes, I don't think it's going to change things a whole lot, no matter what we come up with. I mean, a couple thousand here or there. You know, it's just going to depend on whether the other municipalities and us can get along or not. So, I mean, you need a basic figure to operate. I mean, it's great we have a lot of new equipment, but now we got payroll to cover. I'm just trying to think of a way we could get some more help in the office. Just out of curiosity, we've offered to help train some people and they were supposed to stay so many months. How did that work out?
We've had a few, but it's been very limited, unfortunately. Even when Central Lifelink and Warriors Mark, not Warriors Mark, I'm sorry, Moshannon Valley both offer EMT classes like twice a year typically. I've reached out every single time and said if anybody wants their course paid for, we have funds to do that. We actually have, I think, 2 people that we've gotten out of that system in the last 2 years. We had some issues with it.
You retained?
Yes. We had some issues early on. We had a couple of people that went through the class and decided after they had it paid for, they weren't too excited about doing the shifts, but we actually did some legalese stuff and we were reimbursed for that. But it's very, very difficult, especially to try to get volunteers. They just don't exist anymore. And even trying to get paid staff to remain competitive with services in the area, it's difficult to offer some of the programs that other services offer and keep our costs down. I think the costs that we've trying to save from a standpoint of operations is the new vehicles are under warranty. That saved a lot of service. We went from diesel to gasoline because that also decreased the cost of running those vehicles. Our heating air conditioning system, we got a mini split system through, again, grant money, and it's decreased the cost of heating the bay, especially in the wintertime. So the places that we have tried to decrease the cost of operational burden on the municipalities and the people that are members in general, we've pretty much maxed out everything we can do in those regards. So.
Feel like a miracle worker?
You do have your equipment now.
We have
You
very
have
well.
your facilities through.
Yes.
The grants are federal grant for the facilities.
Mostly Commonwealth grants.
LSA grants for the transport van, which the township received the grants. They did the application and got awarded the grants, which paid for the transport van and the litter. And I wanted to point that out because that wasn't mentioned. So.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
And I do want to see the grants as revenue and grants as expenses in a report. The taxpayers deserve to see the grant money coming in. You can show it as a revenue on one side and as an expense on the other. But that has to be accounted for, I believe, in a budget.
Okay. I mean, it is accounted for. We just didn't include it
Well,
in
you can
this. It's a
definitely put an
wash.
asterisk on there and say it's a one-time thing, so.
Well, you just use it as a revenue and an expense. Everybody knows grants are one-time awards. And then there's a purpose for each one. And you guys are spending it on the things that it was intended to be
Correct.
spent for.
And our issue isn't the getting equipment like that, and we've been very blessed to get grants and things that we've been getting. Our issue is making payroll. We have staff. We have kept our promise to the municipalities to be able to that you're paying for availability, and we've been providing 24/7. With just a few exceptions, but we'll have we do have an attrition rate of employees, and I quite frankly, and I've said this before, I'll say this again for the TV audience, I don't know why EMTs do it. I don't know why they do that as a job, because most of them have 2, 3, 4 jobs, and you know, and they continue doing it. But the coverage isn't what we've been getting. It's, you know, it's the fact that we need to be able to cover the payroll. And again, I've said this also. Once again, I'll utilize whatever TV audience is out there. The issue isn't at the municipal level. It's not at the local level. The issue is at the state level, possibly the federal level, as far as insurance companies. The minimal amounts that they pay all EMS services, there's a massive crisis coming for the EMS services all across the state and the country. And, you know, eventually, it's just not going to be able to be sustained.
But Steve, I want to add something.
Sure.
The patient, the person who makes the call, has an obligation too.
That's correct.
Okay, it's not everybody's else obligations to pay for the service given to a particular patient. They need to have skin in the game as well. And I think until that's addressed, you're always going to have a problem. Yeah, insurances are great. Medicare and Medicaid are what they are. Grants are limited. Municipal contributions are limited. Memberships, I question whether the people in the community really know what they're buying for the cost of a membership. They're buying it very inexpensive, probably the most inexpensive insurance you could buy.
Yes.
For $100 a year or $90 a year, you're getting coverage to the point where if your insurance pays, that's great. If you call an ambulance 10 times, the insurance pays, hey, that's great. But if they don't, you're not obligated to pay anything as a subscriber.
That's correct.
I don't think people understand that.
Well, the other issue is when the insurance does pay for that ambulance call, the check is sent to the individual. It's not sent to the EMS.
Understood, but that's
And
still
a lot of-
patient responsibility.
Yes.
Right, and a lot of people don't understand, they need to turn that check around and give it to the EMS because that's where it rightfully belongs. And that's a legislative issue, is my understanding. So, but people need to be aware, if you are reimbursed for EMS services, give that check to the EMS, because otherwise, that's a loss for you guys.
I think it's a personal
correct.
moral issue too.
Well, yes, I agree.
Government can't do everything.
I agree.
So basically, we're looking at least a 20% increase over last year, just to cover minimal expenses. Have you talked, I assume you've talked to some of the other municipalities. I know a guy from Halfmoon Township was here the other night, and I talked to him at length in the parking lot just to kind of get a, you know, what the mood is out there. I haven't talked to anybody from the borough or Worth, or, and I know there's a borough individual on your board, so. So, I mean, that's something we all really need to cooperate on to keep that up and running. One of the things that I brought up at your meeting, or at least mentioned, was the possibility of splitting payments or something to make the insurance a little more affordable. Has anybody had a chance to talk about that?
We actually, Jack discussed that with the agency that manages.
Subscriptions.
Yeah,
It manages subscriptions and other things, actually. That may be difficult. They don't have a system set up to do that, per se. And the other issue, unfortunately, and I like to think everybody's honest, but the way it's set up right now, if they send in a quarter of their payment, it would designate them that they're paid through the year, the way the system's set up. And I guess the company that manages that says it's going to be
so
very
you have
difficult.
an outside agency that does this for you.
Yes.
Okay. I wondered when I fill out the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, they manage the mailing list. We give them the data from taxes and from other systems. They manage the mail-outs, and they manage the receiving funds and who did what, and
Is there any way to create a gold member level or something?
I'm not sure what you would get for
Well,
it.
I don't know, but, you know, I know at one point, I think something said about, you know, if you had a business there, or if you had yourself, your family, if you had relatives staying with you, you know, maybe something that would cover anybody that's staying at your house, under any circumstances.
We could
You know,
certainly
think
consider
about
it.
If my cousin comes down from Maine and he's there, and and he has a stroke or whatever, then we call 911 and you guys do the thing.
Hey, I'm a maniac. If he comes from Maine, he's going to drag himself
All right.
into the hospital.
He'll be from Bath, Maine. So.
Cliff's statement does not represent the
Yeah.
Portmanteau EMS.
You know, another thing that we face, unfortunately, that most of the municipalities don't face in this area is there's limited businesses in our response area. The Alphas just ran. We were just discussing this at our meeting. Alpha just ran McDonald's. You know, they go in and they donate X amount percentage, and they have. If you drive up Atherton Street, there's so many businesses that can help contribute to the cost of this. For us to reach out to businesses in our 5, with Ferguson being a partial 6th percentile response area, there's just not many resources out there. So.
There's probably, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 home occupations that are big enough to actually do something, and probably maybe a couple dozen actual, you know, like there's a glass place over the mountain there. I mean, I work for a surveying company, you know, and I know some of those people already donate anyways. But
And some of
but
the
you're
some,
right, we don't have a whole string of McDonald's is off the exit. Our exit's sadly lacking compared to, you know, maybe an exit off interstate.
What I don't understand here is, I belong to a foundation, more than one actually, and they have different levels of giving. You have the multi-million-dollar gifts, you have the, you know, $100,000 a year, you have $25,000 a year, you have all the way down to $50 a year. When I get the annual report on giving, I always look at those, the amounts of each of those groups. The small donations, the $100 donations, are always the largest dollar amount. So the way I look at this is different. I think that if people really understand what they're getting for 50 or 75 or whatever the number might be, I think that membership or those subscription numbers, I think would increase significantly. Because no matter what the municipalities do, no matter what the insurance companies do, no matter what anybody does outside of the subscriptions, you're not going to have enough money on that basis alone. You're just not. So those subscriptions are all important. And I just don't understand how people can not see that. People who are homeowners, people who have family, even single people. If I'm living by myself, that's even more of a reason to have an ambulance subscription, because there's nobody else there to help you when you drop over. You have to make the call, you know. So, and then they have to get in after you. So it's a lot different there. But I just think there's something missing there that needs to be accounted for.
Ron, in support of the people that have donated memberships or required memberships, believe it or not, the region usually collects about 14%. So Port Matilda EMS has done much better than average, getting 20 to 21% of a membership return. Even, you know, as kind of low numbers as that seems, it's better than most of the other areas in central Pennsylvania. So.
Well, we still need to do better.
It would be welcomed, and it is a critical need for us to survive. So.
Well, it's for all the emergency services. It's for the fire company. It's for the EMS. It's, you know, the support used to come locally because everybody knew everybody, and it's just gotten to that point now where that's not the case anymore, and people don't understand.
You have to. It's objective. It's no matter who's living there. They call 911. Somebody has to respond. Statistics are great, but I think it goes beyond that. I think we need to do better at explaining the benefit. I think people may think, well, you know, if I pay that dollar, maybe it's paying the deductible. Because there was a time where EMSs, if you had a membership, it would take care, you didn't have to pay a deductible. And now what we're saying is, if you have a membership, you don't have to pay anything. If your insurance company pays, great, you don't have to pay, you don't have to make up any difference. If the insurance company doesn't pay, great, you don't have to pay any difference. In other words, the patient isn't responsible for the cost if they have a membership. for $100 a year, I mean, I think we probably lose more than that a year, the average person. So, I just don't, I think something needs to change, yeah, so.
I assume Warriors Mark does a membership drive? Yeah, so all three of you do. Okay. I thought so, I just want to make sure.
It's a major thing for emergency services across the board, except for
Yeah.
police. Law enforcement, nobody in law enforcement is out there doing hamburgers and sandwich drives and
Right,
selling
right.
cookies.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing that anybody volunteers, like, just because across the board, doesn't matter what the entity, volunteers are decreasing. And the volunteers that we have with each of your companies are putting their life on the line every time they go out. So, as volunteers, we appreciate that and value that. I sit on the Central Region COG, and I'm on the Finance Committee. So today we had one of our finance budget meetings, work sessions today. We heard from Alpha. So same story. They're looking at a 30% increase. That's not reflective of the total COG budget, but just with the fire company, they're looking at a 30% increase across municipalities. So it's the story that repeats. It doesn't matter what entity you talk to, it's the same thing. And, grant money pays for certain things, fundraising pays for certain things, but when it comes to certain operational expenses, payroll, none of that is covered by grants or anything like that. So, that's a challenge. Definitely a challenge.
Certainly is.
I was over in the Pine Hall Cemetery the other day, walking around doing what I do, and I looked out there and there's a lot of American veteran flags. The other thing I noticed, there was a lot of white Alpha flags out there in that cemetery. And you look at the names, and I've been around this area for a long time. These are family names. So, and those families have been around here forever. And so you can see, compared to the number of tombstones out there, I think I counted like 18 Alpha flags in the cemetery. But, there's that community relationship. I remember when State College was a much smaller town and everything was a lot tighter. And now there's just, it just seems like it's turned into a city. You don't get that community relationship. And I know Warriors Mark still has that family, community involvement. Families have been there for a long time, which is great. I think Port's probably lost some of it because of people moving in and out of the area. I know Halfmoon is not the same as it used to be, but we've got to get that back. I don't know how we do that, but somehow we got to get that back. So, you have anything else you'd like to add?
Nope.
I know you're in dire need. If anybody out there on the CNET sees us and they want to write a nice check to the Port Matilda Warriors Mark or the Port Matilda EMS, these guys, they need your help, so please do so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming in. All right, next up, we have a Port Matilda EMS Transportation Van Co-Stars quote approval. Brett, do you have anything you want to add to that?
There is still a conversation happening between the vendor and the EMS. Jack had one question. He said the quote looked good, but he had one question. The vendor responded late this afternoon, and Jack has not had an opportunity to respond. I'm still requesting the board move to approve it because it wouldn't change the quote price. It's either going to be this or we're going to have to restart again, depending upon Jack's response.
So if it falls through, then so does the motion.
Correct.
All right.
Okay.
I move that, to approve the CoStar's quote from Laurel Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram for $66,318.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. All right, thank you. Next up.
I do want to add something. So I didn't speak up last meeting, and I didn't speak up because I did not want to put the contract for the EMS van in jeopardy. But I do think that the process of accepting Mr. Cervello's statement was not appropriate. We did not have a chance to review that prior to the meeting. I voted to approve the transport van contract to get that moving forward. But I think it was a failure on our part that we did not review that letter before we agreed to put it as a supplement to the meeting
Well,
minutes.
it's my letter, it's my opinion.
It is your opinion that is correct. It also did not,
This pretty
It
much
didn't
states
co-
what
it didn't-
happened too.
it didn't contribute to the situation.
No,
it-
but we
it-
have to have
it-
accountability.
Excuse me.
Tammy.
Your mission is to point fingers,
Nope, it's not.
and it's very
Now you're making
inappropriate.
accusations that are
Whoa,
false.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Ms. Perkins, you have the floor for a few minutes, and I'll allow Mr. Cervello to respond.
My comment is that the opinion of Mr. Cervello was to point fingers and to place blame. And we are not here to place blame. We're here to fix a situation that was a series of errors, no one's fault in particular. And I think Mr. Cervello's letter was highly inappropriate and disrupted the situation.
Okay. Mr. Cervello, would you like to respond?
Well, yeah, one person's blame is another person's accountability. And I believe in accountability. The public did not know what happened with the process of the grants, purchase of the van, and the fact that the process was not followed. It was not the board's, our responsibility to follow a process. It was the people assigned responsibility for doing that, which included the EMS working with our staff to go through the process, to use the grant funds to buy a transport van. And now what we have to do is we have to go through the process again to buy a new van. Then we have to sell the previous van, and we are going to pay the depreciation loss. And we, I mean our taxpayers. Halfmoon Township's taxpayers, in fact. It wasn't spread among the other 5 municipalities or 6 municipalities served by the EMS. It was all assigned, the responsibility was assigned to Halfmoon Township. Okay? That was not our error. That was not our mistake. In fact, I don't even consider it a mistake. I wrote that letter to be placed in the record so that people would understand the series of events that occurred. And it's a truthful statement of the series of events that occurred. It's completely truthful. It is from my perspective. It is from my perspective. But, and I say so, it's in my handwriting. It's nobody else's opinion. It's nobody else's list of events. Okay, but it is based, and I have the information right here that shows everything that happened. And I studied every email, every response to emails, the grant, the cooperative agreement signed back in October, the final grant, the actual grant contracts, which were not awarded, were not issued and signed until February 6th. The van was purchased at near the end of January without any notification that was going to happen. That's an issue for me
We're
as a
not,
supervisor, and I represent the taxpayers of this township.
yeah, we're not going to solve that tonight.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's the position I have.
Yes, sir.
The only thing I'd like to state on that is, we saw the letter, we read the letter, we believe that there are some discrepancies in this said letter. But beyond that, Port Matilda EMS offered to pay the entire amount. We had the amount from another grant that we were utilizing for something, but we could have used it for that. We offered to pay, and at the request and the behest of Halfmoon Township, we did not do so, because they didn't want that to encourage or have any effect on any kind of future grants or whatever, I don't know.
Well,
We
no,
wanted to stay away from any of these discussions, though, between us and
Right.
Halfmoon Township. We didn't want to get into all this.
well, I did not want you folks to lose or have your grant modified, because when you're assigned a government grant, you're pretty much fixed as to what you can spend it on, and that was not the appropriate thing, appropriate item for the van. I'm not blaming anybody. It's just, in life, you know, things happen. We're just trying to solve the problem. Mr. Cervello is concerned for the taxpayers. I understand that.
Sure, I'm glad he is.
Ms. Perkins concerned about, you know, the appearance of it, and I think everybody wants the ambulance company to be successful. I'm just trying to think of a way to turn this into a win for everybody. There's somebody out there that might be able to utilize this other van and maybe help in other communities. so, you know, and who knows how long it'll be till the new van comes in anyways.
Well, I think we've
Well,
already done that.
Yeah.
I will
Well,
also say that individuals say that they're here for the taxpayers' money, but the squabbling over the details and, you know, making a timeline of what happened also extended the time period in which we can purchase and sell the other vehicle, which again impacts taxpayer dollars. So
How
there's
does it
that
do
issue
that?
too.
How
So
does
there's
it do that,
definite
Tammy?
discrepancies in your opinion, and I appreciate Half Moon and us supervisors stepping up to take care of that burden so that it is not on the EMS in terms of the differences between the vans. So I'm just want to state for the record that I'm glad this is moving forward, but I think the statement was inappropriate.
all right, let's move on to the next thing. We can argue in the parking lot afterwards. Next up, Agricultural Security Resolution 2025-16, Security Area Public Hearing. Possible motion to approve 2025-16. I guess there was some issue on that. We haven't heard back from the county.
That'd be Amy.
Oh, Amy.
Right, so I'm asking you to approve the resolution amending the ag security pending the Center County Planning review. I don't see that there's gonna be an issue.
Okay, they just haven't reviewed it yet. Okay, do I hear a
haven't got
motion?
the review back.
Is there an issue?
No,
Oh,
there's not.
they're just checking it.
They
Okay.
just haven't gotten time
Okay.
to review
Well,
it.
is that, would that be
Okay.
a requirement for our ability to pass this resolution
The county has to review the ag security.
before we can approve this?
No, that's why I'm asking you pending their.
Pending approval.
Pending their
Okay,
approval.
Gotcha. All right.
I move to approve Resolution 2025-16. Do you need me to read the whole thing?
Well, just say pending county approval.
Pending county approval.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Moving second. Any other discussion by the board? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Next up, Spring Creek Watershed Fiscal Year 2025 Budget Approval. They're
Mr.
looking,
Chair.
I was gonna say, they're looking for $697.50 for 2026.
I'd like to point out that this is an ordinance that was passed in 2007, ordinance 2007-3, that requires us to pay this annually.
Okay.
So it's not up for, I don't believe it's up for a vote.
It's not really up for discussion, but we have to.
We have to go through the motion of vote.
Do I hear a motion to allocate the fund?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Beck beat Ms. Hartle. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, next up, township reports. Does the secretary, treasurer, or roadmaster, he's not here, have anything to add?
Nope.
Okay. Authority boards and committee reports. Anybody have anything to add to their reports?
The only thing is, I will add, I've already alluded to, we're in the middle of the COG finance budget work sessions. So had
State
one.
College COG?
State College COG, sorry,
Okay,
not Upper
just wanna
Baldico
be
COG.
clear.
Center Region COG.
Yeah.
So we had a budget work session Tuesday, we had a budget session this morning, we'll have another one next week Tuesday, and then we'll have our meeting next week Thursday. So if anybody has any comments or has any questions regarding each of the entities for the budget, let me know. I did mention that we heard from the Alpha and Emergency Services, and they're looking at a 30% increase. Overall, right now, the budget looks great. As a reminder, we used up a lot of fund balances last year to try to keep that budget low. But remember, we're using up the fund balances also comes back to bite you in the back end at some point because you have to make up that difference.
Right.
So just keep in mind that.
Can I ask what the fund balance is for the COG this year?
I don't have that in mind. It's significantly lower than what it has been. I can get you that number.
Do you know what it was for 2024?
I don't have those numbers in front of me.
How's
but
the new executive director been on that? Has he been?
He's been great. I will say that he, as well as the finance committee, have put in an extraordinary amount of time developing a fund balance policy. There has not been a solid fund balance policy in place, and so that is not something that they can do as a blanket policy across the board, because different fund balances are used for different things, and it's built up differently and used differently. So they have to kind of modify the fund balance depending on the fund that they're referring to. But they are doing an excellent job reviewing that and presenting that, and so we'll be seeing that hopefully, in the next year, a good fund balance on that.
Well, this is
So
his first year, so.
this is his first year, and he's done an extraordinary job across the board. I will
Good.
say that. Yeah, he's very conscientious about funds in general, and he's been very attentive to all of our conversations. So
Okay.
I've been impressed so far, but I can get you that fund balance number if you
I
want it.
believe 2024, I was the COG chair, I believe the fund balance going into the end of the year was 28 million.
I don't think it was that high.
I think it was.
Going into what year?
Toward the end of 2024.
Well, maybe. I wasn't there in 2024.
Last year was.
But I can tell you that a number of it has been gone. So, yeah, I don't think I won't be able to get to it real quick because I don't have everything, but I can get it to you.
Sure. Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? How about a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Fair second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 46, thanks for coming.